Yo, it's the shoe. I have been busting my ass.
Dave Ray, what's got you in such a rush?
Maybe it's a matter of perspective, but I'm not sure being stuck in a time loop would be that bad. I mean, an endless cycle of death and failure wouldn't be a great time. On the other hand, endless mulligans would have their uses. Take the case of Xiang Zizhu, for example, protagonist of Loopmancer. Sure, his loops usually end with him getting a bullet in the mullet, but at least he gets to pet his kitty cat at the start of every fresh run. And it's worth it too. Not only is Mr. Snuggles a very good boy, but petting him imparts a temporary buff that can make all the difference to your day. Before we go on, a little background. Xiang is a mercenary cop, somewhere between a private detective and a special agent. He gets called in when there's a particularly tough case that no one else can solve. The neon-lit streets of Xiang's cyberpunk city are dangerous, and it takes a special kind of badass to clean them up. But Xiang is also grieving after the death of his daughter and is desperate to get to the truth behind that tragedy. Each run of Loopmancer begins with Xiang waking up in his apartment. It's raining outside, there's a cat inside, and the phone is ringing. How the structure will work in the full game isn't yet clear. Whether each case will be a new loop or you'll have to play the whole thing every time remains to be seen. At present, the demo only goes as far as the first major boss, but it's enough to give us a taste of things to come. Loopmancer is a side-scrolling action game with a little shooting and a little slashing and lots of dodging. It desperately needs a parry, although there's one mentioned in the control options, so it may be an unlock later. As the aforementioned cop, you're called in to help find a missing reporter. The last person she interviewed is something of a personal nemesis, and so there's a lot riding on it. Cutscenes look decent, but the animation is a little bit off and the voice work isn't great. That said, the city itself and its environments are gorgeous. Style pools on every surface, from the stunning lighting to the detailed backdrops. Enemies come at you in groups from both sides, but few are much of a challenge. However, when the action gets frantic, it's easy to lose your bearings. Without a dedicated block button, you spend more time dodging than anything else. There's a selection of different weapons and items to find. Xiang's buddy offers an initial choice of randomised items, from pistols and shotguns to machetes and powered gloves. As in, say, Dead Cells, you unlock more by spending in-game currency, and then they'll drop into the loot pool going forward. A robot merchant called Funk pops up during the missions to offer further choices. Usually, Funk is standing beside a machine that allows you to either heal your body or repair your equipment. The effect is finite though, and so far I've seen no way to refill the paltry 2 sodas you go in with that restore HP. One of the buffs from fussing your cat gives you an extra one, but once they're gone, they're gone. It's perhaps the only real issue with the difficulty. The mission is very long, punctuated by a tough boss fight and a few sections where you'll need to dodge cars coming out of the background at high speed that'll obliterate your health if you're not careful. A few extra heals wouldn't have gone amiss. You also have a power move such as a shockwave or fire burst, a utility item like, for example, proximity mines, and an overcharge to mix into combat. The issue isn't variety, although the random nature of possible drops means some runs are easier than others. Rather, the problem is there's so much going on that it can be difficult to feel in control. Again though, this may be tighter in the finished game. That being said, there's something undeniably likeable about Loopmancer. The combat is smooth and the traversal is satisfying. Xiang has a grapple on one arm that can latch onto specific points to pull him up to high ledges, and a double jump that makes no sense in context but doesn't really need to. It's the little details though that make all the difference. When Xiang drops to a lower deck, for example, he doesn't just drop through the floor, but grabs the gantry and swings down. Sounds like nothing, but it's cool in practice. Loopmancer does need some real work doing in places before release though. The voice acting for one needs some serious attention. The cutscene animations need to be a little smoother, and the combat needs a few tweaks to feel more deliberate and less manic. I'm also not a big fan of having to visit the police station, buy weapons and skip the same half a dozen cutscenes at the start of every new loop. But there is massive potential shown in the demo, and if eBrain Studio can fix the issues, Loopmancer could be something very, very special indeed.